Hey everybody, I'm dressed to go out. That's the hat. Now I gotta go shoot video at a special meeting tonight. Today I went to jail. I was not a prisoner. I was a visitor. What a miserable place. Oh my goodness. So we went to go visit a guy, and I can't really say anything about his situation at all, of course. But I can say that he's a little bit less than a year younger than me. And his life is never going to be anything close to what people in authority want him to be. He is beaten down beyond being defensive. I mean, he's just defeated. And, he sits with his shoulders rolled forward. And, when I shook his hand, I just met him for the first time today. I shook his hand. He didn't, meet my eye. He sort of shook like this. And he is going to be under the supervision of the Department of Corrections for the rest of his life. He might be outside of jail. Chances are good that he will be within a few months. But he will never be able to leave the state of Vermont. Vermont is a state of about 600,000 people, I think, most of them up north. In this part of the state, there are very few jobs. There are very few population centers. A lot of people who live here in Vermont cross the Connecticut River and go over to New Hampshire every day because there's a lot more commercial activity in New Hampshire. But, if you can't leave the state, if you're under supervision, you're basically stuck here. This guy, I can't say anything about, why he's in jail or, anything about his history, but he's just messed up. I mean, the last COSA Corps member we had didn't really need us. He was self-directed, self-sufficient, and he had a very clear vision of what he needed to do to live a decent life. And he was 27, so he'd had his bad years, and, he got a vision of what he needed to do and what he needed to be, and he was acting consistently on that vision. When you're 50, and you've spent your whole life in and out of jail with, the closest thing you've had to employment. I mean, I can't say anything about his history other than he's worked, but the work here it's nothing to build on. It's the sort of work that pays a pittance, no benefits, no possibility of advancement because there is no place to go. And so I'm sitting there, and this guy is a mess. He's clearly a mess. And I'm sitting there with a couple of the people and a parole officer, and the parole officer is asking him, what are you going to do differently this time? If you get out again, what change are you going to make in your life so that, you're on the right track? And I didn't say anything. I'm just sitting there listening, but I'm thinking, this guy is what he is. At age 50, he's not going to turn his life around from being this absolute mess. Irresponsible, completely defeated, fearful mess. He's a complete mess. He's not, if you let him out and tell him, fly right or you're coming back, he's coming back. That's just how it is. And so, once somebody has been in the system for that long, you don't get to talk down to them anymore. They are what they are. And the experience, the way the system treats them, this guy's not a murderer, okay? It's not justified. Yeah, he probably needs to be supervised, but he doesn't need to be in jail. there was an edit there, and I cut out something that was possibly identifying. Got to be super scrupulous here. You don't know who I'm talking about. I can't give any hints and can't confirm if you guess right. I have to say, we spent like 45 minutes just sitting in a circle in chairs waiting for this guy. Just as we got there, the parole officer called in the guy, gave his name to somebody over an intercom, and a few minutes later, somebody else with a similar sounding name rolls in. We're like, no, not you. You go back. And then she goes and she makes a call, and she has the right guy sent over. But as soon as she puts the phone down, we hear over the intercom, head count. Well, I don't know if it's a jail or a prison. It's big enough to be a prison. It's got a huge yard with, the razor wire atop these very tall fences, double lettered fences. It looks like a prison to me. And she says, oh, head count. Okay, the whole place closes down for like half an hour while they walk around and they count up everybody. And the guy that I went over there with, who's an old hand at this, he's a former parole officer. He was saying, every time I come to this jail, it's like this. I'm just sitting around, thumb up my butt, doing nothing, just waiting for, the wheels of justice to turn, and they turn very, very slowly. Even if it's just getting a guy from one part of the facility to another part of the facility to talk to somebody who's come to visit him, takes forever. There's only like 1,800 people in this prison or jail. I think it is a prison. I think it's a proper prison. Even so, it is huge and bureaucratic in the way it operates, even though it's fairly small scale. It's just, that's the system. The system is slow and punitive, and it compounds harms. It takes bad situations and makes them worse. God bless him. And now I am technically, even though I don't get paid, technically I'm an employee of the Department of Corrections, which is kind of nauseating, but also kind of funny. Anyway, I got to go to work. I'll talk to you later.